Welcome back, y'all. This is episode 2, and I'm your host, Paige Battcher. Today's episode is about the energy of money and abundance. Now, abundance is infinite. Well, it's abundant. You can have abundance of money. You can have abundance of health, fulfillment, peace of mind, you name it. It's all about having abundance in all areas of your life. Now, one of the things you really need to understand about abundance is that it's not something that can be earned or gathered or bargained for. It's not a concept that you can scheme your way to, and abundance is not a destination. Our abundance, meaning the fullness of love, security, the vastness of possibility, it's about being abundant, which, okay, probably sounds a little redundant. Put in another way, abundance is the vastness of opportunities that exist in the quantum universe that we live in. It is the quantum field that includes us, is all around us, and is within us. And so if you haven't heard yet of this term quantum, or you have already, I hope that my super brief and very non-sciencey understanding will help you just get a little bit more out of this topic. Traditional physics is known as Newtonian physics, and it's the study of energy and matter. The study of physics in this way uncovered these persistent and inexplicable energy that didn't fit neatly into their equations. Do you remember in middle school math when you would round off those remainders? It's kind of like that from my understanding. So quantum physics is the study of the inexplicable phenomena, the remainders of energy in the quantum field. And while the field of quantum physics has been scrutinized since its beginning, there have been some really significant findings by some brilliant minds that have improved people's health and in some cases changed people's lives. And listen to this. Dr. Joe Dispenza hosts meditation workshops all around the world, and maybe you've heard of him. He partners with other scientists to perform extensive research on the effects of meditation, including epigenetic testing, brain mapping with EEGs, and individual energy field testing with a GDV machine. Oh my gosh, that's a lot, right? But basically, in non-scientific words, he hooks people up to machines to test their bodies, what their bodies are physically doing, while they change their thoughts. And his research combines the fields of neuroscience, epigenetics, and quantum physics. He's best known for exploring the science behind spontaneous remission of chronic conditions and disease. And so this means that Dr. Joe Dispenza and his team measure spontaneous remission, or the instantaneous healing of someone from the inside out. And they're basically proving that from thought, we can change our actual body chemistry. Basically, what this research shows is that our bodies are energy in a larger electromagnetic field that includes everything in and around us. Your thoughts create a frequency and create this emission that they can measure. And depending on what your thoughts are tuned to, that's what will be your reality and will form the basis of what is magnetized into your life. I hope you're with me so far. And I want you to think of it this way. Imagine your thoughts as an actual radio, because radios are frequency. Let's say you're tuned to a heavy metal station, right? Where at first you're like, whoa. You might be something like, oh my God, why is my heart beating so fast? Should I break something? Should I burn something? Should I smash a pumpkin? I don't know. Like, help me figure this out. And so you'd probably change the station. Am I right? Right? You've been in stressful situations where you'll change the station. So perhaps a little R&B. Or a little reggae. Okay, moving on. So of course, everyone is different, right? Heavy metal might be your jam. It might put you in the best vibes ever. Okay, that's not the point here. Everyone loves different music. My point is that the thoughts we think create a frequency that is emitted from our bodies, from within our bodies, and this can actually be scientifically measured, and it becomes the reality or the station that we are living in. Let's apply this radio analogy to money. If your frequency is set to a station that plays infomercials on how your student loans, your mortgage, your cousin Benny, or the government taxes are the reasons that you're struggling, then you're on a station of struggle. And if your thoughts are filled with this internal dialogue that says, I don't have enough money, I'm not going to make enough money, I'm not smart enough or good enough to figure it out, or, oh, look at her, that's so great that she's making all this money, but she's probably self-centered, she's probably, whatever you want to say. If this is your internal dialogue, you are separating yourself from the abundant possibilities that already exist in and around you. You're just cutting yourself off from that. This is the station that you're on, so it's what you'll keep hearing and experiencing. So pay close attention to your thoughts. Turn the dial only to what you want out of your life, which is easier said than done. And I will be really raw with you and authentic. I mess this up. I often have my station tuned to a frequency of dark and shadowy and low vibe thoughts pretty often, right? But here's how I look at what my job is, and I hope that this can help you. It's to turn down the noise, to change the dial, to minimize the gunk, right? To limit the amount of time that I'm tuned into and emitting a frequency that makes me feel sad, anxious, helpless, confused, shameful, guilty, or alone, right? And then my job is to embrace, choose, and increase the time I spend in a frequency of thoughts that help me cultivate hope, optimism, focus, and joy, right? And gratitude. Creating the healthiest ratio I possibly can of light to dark, right? That is the inner work. And the inner work is creating how I want to feel. And how we feel attracts our reality. And if you think about it, how we feel is actually the most important stuff that life is made of. And it's from moment to moment, from minute to minute. Every single day is a moment in your life to choose your thoughts and to tap into abundance. Yes, for money and also in every aspect of your life. I want to share with you a story of a woman who had to start completely over, a new language, a new country, new everything. And I hope this story will inspire you to see that it's not just about creating this energy of abundance one time. It's about persistently holding that vibration day in and day out for the duration of your journey on this planet. Joyce Chen was born to a prosperous family in Beijing in 1917. 32 years later, on a chilly April day in 1949, as the Communist Party was seizing control of China, her and her family managed to secure one of the last spots on a boat leaving Shanghai for America. The boat ended up being the second to last boat that even left before the ports closed, and that was the last time that Joyce would ever see her home in China. So her and her husband and children settled down in Massachusetts, and while Joyce had been a very successful career woman as an insurance broker in China, she found herself raising 2 kids in a completely new country, far away from anything she had ever known. It could have been very easy for her to feel deprived of her career, her home, and the life that she had always originally planned for herself, but that wasn't Joyce's mentality. She got her first clue that she was good at cooking and that her cooking might be popular when she made pumpkin cookies and egg rolls at a bake sale at her kids' school, and they sold out within an hour. And this was at a time when soy sauce was considered an exotic specialty food in the United States, and you could only get it in gourmet groceries and Chinese restaurants. And she realized that the absence of Chinese cooking in the United States was not a problem, it was an opportunity, right? At age 41, y'all, that's when she opened her first restaurant, and it was an immediate success, despite some hurdles as always. But Joyce was the first in the Boston area to introduce Chinese dishes to the entire country that are now popular. Dishes like Peking duck or mushu pork and hot and sour soup, and pot stickers, which actually at the time were branded Peking ravioli, which I find really cute. So she pioneered the idea of buffet-style serving, which allowed her customers to try new items in small quantities without any risk. It really expanded their minds and their palates. And of course, she dealt with Americans who could not pronounce the Chinese names. And so to cut down on the miscommunication, she was one of the first to introduce a numbered-based menu. Thank you, Joyce, for doing that. One restaurant became two restaurants became 3, 4, 5 restaurants. And Joyce developed warm relationships with her customers and continued to innovate and expand. And of course, like much of the things that we take on in our life, sometimes we realize that there's a way to impact more lives. So she realized there was only a limit on the number of restaurants that she could personally run, and she began teaching Americans how to prepare these new dishes themselves. This started with cooking classes that ran out of Cambridge Center for Adult Education, and soon she started publishing cookbooks, running a PBS cooking show, and introducing Americans all across the country to Chinese cooking, the techniques, and then later patented and sold a line of cooking supplies. So Joyce's courses, her books, her products were popular not just because her food was delicious. She was able to meet Americans where they were at in their food journey and their understanding of food from different cultures. Effectively, she opened the doors for an entire world of new flavors, techniques, tools, and dishes. Now, many people might have moved to a completely new country, felt alone, and said, there's no market for what I have to give here. But Joyce wasn't most people. And neither is our guest today, Jamie King, also known as the Slay Coach, who has built her empire and career teaching entrepreneurs how to make money by tapping into their energy instead of worrying about what they don't have. Jamie King is also known as the Slay Coach. She's a business coach helping women around the world learn how to start and scale businesses. She's a self-proclaimed beauty school dropout turned million-dollar business slayty boss. She's a mom of 3 and was able to retire her husband from his 9-to-5. I'm incredibly honored to have her here today. I'm just incredibly excited for you to be here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super pumped to be here with you guys today.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm excited to talk about your businesses. And then, of course, this show's topic is all about the energy of money and abundance.
Yeah.
So can we just dive into talking about your take on the energy of money?
So money, if you look at it, people don't think of money. They think of it as an inanimate object, which it is. It's a piece of paper, right? It doesn't grow on trees like what your parents told you. But instead, what if we start looking at our finances and looking at money as something that is tangible in a relationship like you would have with someone that you're friends with or a family member or a cousin? What if we start looking at money as not an inanimate object or this piece of paper, but what if we look at it as an experience or as a thing that we can grab onto and make love to and rub our titties on or whatever, but not just like the pieces of paper. We think of it as in our bank account. We think of it as pieces of paper. We think it is what we do for exchanging time. But what if we could look at money differently? Because everything that we are taught about money is so outdated and old school, and it's actually not taught in schools enough. Kids don't graduate high school learning they might have a junior achievement class and learn how to balance a checkbook, but they don't learn how to up their credit scores. They don't learn how to invest their money wisely.
Or even how mortgages work.
Or how mortgages work. Or how debt works. Or how to use productive debt. So there is a difference between productive debt and unproductive debt. The most financially wealthy people in the world have tons of debt, but it's debt that is utilized for growth, not debt that is harming them. So what happens when we don't have proper education around money is that it keeps poor people poor. And why aren't we talking about it? Why aren't we teaching people about money? So if we can start with saying, hey, money's my homeboy, instead of being afraid to talk about it, let's start saying, hey, how can we build a relationship that's better with money?
So can you tell me about your own journey here? Because from beauty school dropout, I doubt you had the money in the bank that you have now.
So I have always been, I don't follow rules. I don't like to be told what to do. I don't like do things, well, that's just the way that things are. I've never accepted, well, that's how things are. That's never sat well with me. I don't know if it's nature versus nurture, but growing up, I looked at our current economic system, our current education system, and I thought that's not what I want. That I don't want to get into a ton of student loan debt. I saw people going before me and had tons of student loan debt, and I thought, is this the only way to like quote unquote make it in the world?
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't subscribe to this philosophy. So I started doing my own research. And guys, I did not grow up with money. I grew up in a low-income household. My mom worked 2 to 3 jobs at any given time. We took a calculator to the grocery store. It's been a long time evolution of tens of thousands of credit card debt, definitely low credit scores. I've never filed bankruptcy or anything like that, but like I've fought back from low credit scores. I've had credit cards in default. I used to have a really shitty relationship with money because I didn't understand how it worked or how you used it to make more money. I slowly started nurturing my relationship with money when I married someone who understood it better than me. And I was like, okay, cool. So he understood how not to be in debt. And I just understood how to make it.
Yeah.
And so my husband and I came together with, okay, here's how to be a good steward of it. Like how to not, like if you look at it like a relationship, we can't treat our money with disrespect. If you're spending it to fill a void or spending it to like fix some need of like, oh, this will fix my ego. Once I have that bag or that boat, then people will take me seriously. Like that's not what money is supposed to be used for. If you are a good steward of money, you treat it well. And so my husband is the good steward. I'm the one that knows how to make it. So we balance together. So when I started this business 3 years ago, I started charging and I lowballed it, you guys. When I like lowballed my prices, I was like, I don't know. And I booked out immediately because I priced it so low. Yeah, my like coaching and consulting services, it booked out immediately. And I was like, oh, now what do I do?
Right.
I don't have any more hours in the day. I can't take on any more clients. Okay, so how do we scale and grow that?
So you had to raise your prices.
I raised my prices, but I also learned how I had to form a deeper knowledge and understanding of that money is an exchange of value. Money is an exchange of something. So if I am giving you a service or a product, you are giving me money in exchange. It's an energetic exchange. Money doesn't care if you are Republican, Democrat. It doesn't care if you are lesbian, if you're straight, if you're bi. Like money cares how you put value into the world. So if we can look at what value are we putting out into the world? And now with the internet, our generation is starting to realize that we have the power to put value into the world. What we're doing right here is our generation saying, hey, I can put value into the world in exchange for either influence or income, because influence and income can be exchanged over time. That's why people go on The Bachelorette, because they get lifetime influence that will then be exchanged for money later. So influence, income, they're all interchangeable, but how are you putting value into the world? Now, people can debate whether people from The Bachelor or Bachelorette series are putting value into the world, but they are entertaining people, and that is an exchange of value.
So can you talk about the feelings of what happens when you focus at all on ourselves? When you're so tightly focused on, I need money, I gotta get money, I don't have money, I need money in the bank, I gotta pay this bill. What ripple effect and sort of momentum that creates?
Yeah. So when you look at money as a relationship, right? I want you to think about money as your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your lover, your partner. So if we're looking at a relationship, would you go, Paige, into a relationship with your partner and say, I need you. I need you to pay attention to me. I need you to be here all the time. I'm scared if you go away. Please don't leave me. What if you don't come back? Are you going to be back in 15 minutes? Would you treat your partner like that?
No.
So why do we treat money like that?
Okay, yeah. As soon as we're paying, in the process of paying for something, we're literally thinking about like, don't go.
Oh, no, it's not enough. Please don't go.
Yeah.
So if money is a relationship, if money is an energetic exchange of value or influence or income, if money is this tangible, moldable thing, that it is the same type of energy or frequency. I can get into super woo stuff, but I'll try and keep it kind of basic.
Let's talk about the woo. Bring it on. So let's talk about frequency.
frequency and energy. So if you go into the law of attraction, if you go into dive into books like The Secret, the Divine Compensation of Money is a book from one of my spiritual mentors, Marianne Williamson. Nature is always trying to balance energies of consume, produce, ebb, flow, positivity, negativity. If you think of our body as a system, it's always trying to maintain homeostasis. So if you can look at that vibration and frequency as you look at your relationship with money, am I being a good steward of it? Am I actively looking at it? Because when you avoid your finances out of shame, guilt, that frequency literally prevents opportunity, money, business ideas to make more money from coming to you, because you're sitting in a frequency of shame and guilt. And when you're in a frequency of guilt, lack, shame, there's not enough, guess what? Your brain is going to be closed to opportunity of how to receive more of it, how to make more money, how to exchange or trade services with other people in order to produce more value into the world, in order to receive more money. You're just blocking your channel. So as spiritual individuals, we are always open and receiving. We're always producing or consuming. And if you're blocked to ideas because you're negative about money, if you think it's not possible, guess what? You're right. If you think you can't make more of it, then guess what? You're right. Because you won't find any ideas coming to you as downloads, I call them, right? Because I'm a spiritual person and I'm always getting ideas and downloads of how to make more of it. So once you understand how to use your gifts in exchange for money, then money becomes this fun plaything that you like. It's like my side piece. It's like my other relationship. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, fun together.
So the frequency you talk about really does stem from root feelings and emotions. So shame and guilt, super low frequency, low vibration. Feelings of joy, happiness, fulfillment, gratitude, right? High vibration. So can you have a high vibration around money, but then hold and be carrying low vibrations in the rest of your life? And what I'm getting at is, what's the connection between the abundance of money and really the abundance of almost everything in our life?
Yes. So I want you to think about faith. So faith is abundance, is a light switch. On, off. You have it, you don't have it. Okay. If you're holding lack vibration and frequency in other things in your life, say you're super abundant, but you're fearful in relationships, like someone's cheating on me. I have a story about, it's the same. Anytime you are blocking your frequency from either past traumas that are coming through, either old relationships or old stories about what you are allowed to have in your life, I want you to look at, okay, what's one thing that I have a lot of faith in? Paige, tell me, what's one thing you have amazing faith in? Not money related, but
family.
You have so much faith in family. See, I don't have that. I'm just kidding. You have so much faith in your family. Why don't you have faith in something else in your life? What's something else you don't have faith in?
My ability to skateboard.
See? Okay. But why do you have that lack?
From past trauma, from falling, skin in my knees, buying the entire shelf worth of Band-Aids from CVS.
Okay. So do you know other people? Can we look for evidence when we're building a case for ourselves? Do you know other people that fell down, bought the entire CVS store rack of Band-Aids, and then can also skateboard?
Right. Probably every pro skateboarder ever. Which actually brings up a question I have for you, is because then you look at a Tony Hawk, right, of the world, and you're like, well, I could never be him.
Yeah.
Where does that then come from, and how does that hold us back?
So we can stand in the shoes of giants. And this is why I say mentorship and or masterminding or collaborating or surrounding yourself with super positive people or people doing the things that you want to do in life, because you can stand in the shoes of other people's faith. So when you hear the term stand in the shoes of giants, so if Tony Hawk can do that, if you can future cast, if you can imagine, this is why storytelling is so powerful, because we're able to see ourselves in other people's shoes with stories. This is why I preach and teach storytelling. It's if I'm able to see myself, so not as Tony Hawk, because I've never had any desire to skateboard whatsoever. But Tony Robbins, if I can see what Tony Robbins has built, love him, hate him, whatever, like people have so many mixed feelings about Tony Robbins, but if I can see what he has built and what he has created, and if I can look at that and say, if he can do that, why can't I do this? So we're so busy telling ourselves what we can't do that we forget to ask ourselves, why not me? So my number one question that I will ask everyone watching, and you, I'll use the example of Tony Hawk and skateboarding. Do you believe in a higher power?
Yes.
Okay, you believe in a higher power. Great. Okay, so you believe in a higher power. Do you believe that that higher power gave you free will?
Yes.
So you have free will to choose.
Yes.
Do you believe that you get to choose your own thoughts?
Yes.
Okay, we might not choose the ones that come in, but we get to choose the ones that stay because we have 60,000 thoughts a day, right?
Right. Well, we're going to stick on and,
Right,
and
and
dwell
we
on.
hold tight
Yes.
to beliefs. So beliefs are just thoughts we choose to think repeatedly. So Paige here has told us that she believes in a higher power. She believes in free will to choose.
Yes.
She believes that we were all created equally. Is that correct?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if we're all created equally, we all believe that we have something here that has created us equally, right? We all have free will. We can choose our own thoughts. So why are you choosing to believe that you were not created with the same skateboarding magic that created Tony Hawk?
Right.
That's a choice.
Yes.
So why are you being an asshole to yourself?
That's very true. And in this moment, I'm thinking to myself, well, I actually don't want a career in skateboarding. Right. So that could be holding me back just a slight bit. But good point. That is such a great analogy. And that's wonderful because it's so imperative, especially for the woman starting out her business. If you keep looking at everybody else and going, they have it. Oh, she must have what it takes. I don't. That is not doing you any justice. And that was a really good way to get about it.
And if it's a step process of most everyone has some, whether you're Christian or Muslim or whatever, most of us believe in, not all, some they're atheists, but most of us believe in something out there. Yeah, a universal intelligence or spirit. Right. And if you can relate it to what we learned growing up of, we're all created equal, we all believe in free will. And if you can relate, usually I use the analogy of you threw a skateboard wrench, so I had to run something new. But usually I use the Beyonce, because everyone loves Beyonce, right? I use the Beyonce analogy. Like, you're choosing to believe you were not created with the same magic that made Beyonce.
Right.
Why are you doing that to yourself? So when you can do that and say, oh, I'm doing this to myself, then you take your own power back. And it no longer becomes all these outside situations that are out with beyond your control. It's like, oh, I couldn't do that because all of these other things don't lay in my favor. Well, Beyonce had this, or so-and-so had that help. Right. And you can take your own power back and create your own destiny and your own version of what you want to become in the world.
Yeah, really incredibly powerful. Well, you guys can check out the Slay Coach, and we'll make sure to put a bunch more links in the description and all around. Do you have any final words of advice about bringing a sense of abundance, money, and all the things into your life for the woman watching this show?
So start looking for ways to solve problems in the world. And it could be so simple as sharing your knowledge, your heart. You can be really good at, like my girlfriend said, I'm not good at anything. And I was like, you know how to make people feel really good. How can you solve problems in the world by making people feel good? I was like, maybe you send them a text message, build a subscription on a text message. It's just like a pump up text of the day that makes $1 a month. You get my text alerts where I pump you up every day. I was like, if you can say to yourself, why not me? How could I give value in the world? How could I solve problems? Then money becomes limitless.
Thank you.
Namaste.
All right, lovelies. Now it's time to roll up your sleeves, if you're even wearing any, and take this inspiration and turn it into imperfect action, okay? So you know the drill. If you've been through episode 1, you'll already know, grab a pen, grab a journal, or just say these out loud. Or speak them to yourself. If you're just getting started with this, do not worry. Here's your mission. I'm going to ask you a series of rapid questions. Please don't overthink this, because your first response from your gut, from your inner being, is your power. That is your knowingness, okay? Let's start with money. What do you feel when you think about money? Okay, next question. What's the first experience in your life that you felt negatively about money? It could have been something that someone said to you, or a phrase that was repeated, or an experience that you had. Okay, do you remember that experience? How does it make you feel in your body right now? Where do you feel it? In your stomach, in your gut, in your heart, in your throat? Where do you feel it? I want you to tap into that, because that's really important. So where do you feel that initial negative experience about money that first comes up for you? Okay, now, I want you to remember and bring up a memory for you where money was a positive. Maybe it was a first paycheck. Maybe it was an unexpected check that came in. What's the first time and first experience you can remember where you just had this beautiful, free-flowing innocence about money in your life? Okay, now what does that feel like in your body? Where do you feel it? Do you feel it in your toes? Do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your womb and your stomach area? Where do you feel that? I want you to tap into that. Okay, just the first thing that you feel. Now, question, do you feel a difference between the low vibes and the high vibes? Do you feel a difference in your body? Is it in a different location? And how can you take this feeling you now have and hold on to it for longer? How can you make it a part of your daily routine? Okay, now let's look at areas across your life in categories like love and relationship, your health, your career, your business, your spirituality, or your personal growth, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. And if you're feeling a lack in one area, chances are it's seeping into other areas of your life. All right, you ready? First thing that comes to you. What area in your life do you feel like it's not what you want? Got that? Okay, where do you feel this in your body? Where do you feel it? Now, same thing here. Can you think of an area in your life that's totally abundant? And if you're struggling with this, I want you to think about something in nature that's abundant, like the vastness of clouds, or the expansiveness of the ocean, or the fact that trees will have more leaves than you could possibly count. Those leaves will fall, those leaves will regrow. That is an example of abundance in our life. So I want you to really think about something that you see as an abundant source. And how does that make you feel? Now I want you to ask yourself, how can you take this feeling about something that's so certain, so sure? You know that after the fall, the trees will lose their leaves, they're gonna grow again. How can you take that feeling in your body and apply it to the area of your life that you felt that you need the most in, right? And once you do that, how can you imagine ways to incorporate this into your daily routine? All right, now I know that was a really fast exercise, but it's meant to start getting your juices flowing. It's meant to start helping you think through this. To further dive into your mission, I encourage you to go to empoweredboss.com. And also, if you haven't done so already, jump back and do the mission 1 from episode 1. I also want you to remember deep down that it's about tapping into the feeling, into the frequency, but not just doing it once. So always keep in mind that this is about creating that routine in your life so that you can not eliminate the doubts or the low vibrations, but so that you can start to create a better ratio of the good feelings, of the higher vibrations, of the frequencies that are going to attract that abundance into your life. Because in reality, abundance is all around us, and it's only when we hold ourselves back from that we start to feel that lack. So how can you start to change the radio channel into something that makes you feel more optimistic and more hopeful? As we round out this episode, we learned a lot. We learned a lot from our story of Joyce Chen, where she had to start virtually over from scratch, where it didn't look like there was a market for her opportunity, but she just kept going and persisted. with a higher level of knowingness. We heard from Jamie King, also known as the Slay Coach, that it's really up to getting in alignment with the possibility that exists because, as she says, you were born from the same stuff that Beyonce was born with. In this episode, we also learned about quantum physics. And of course, I'm not a scientist, but I gave you my understanding of it to hopefully serve you. You can always go deeper. There are resources on our website, empoweredboss.com. But in a nutshell, it's that reminder that we are part of a larger electromagnetic field, that the energy that stems from what is possible in our life starts with a feeling that becomes a thought, and the thought is the thing that is attracting everything that we call or know as our reality. So I encourage you to continue questioning what thoughts you have, continue tuning into higher frequencies, pick that right radio station for you, and try and turn to it and tune to it and tap into it as often, as daily, as hourly, and minute by minute as you possibly can. And so I'm incredibly honored that you are here with us on this show, on this journey. My name is Paige Battcher, and my team and I are on a mission to increase the empowerment effect that comes from when women tap into their purpose and make a bigger impact on this planet. On the next episode of Empowered Boss, we will explore the modern day lifestyle business and what it looks like to design a dream life that can be supported by your business and not the other way around. I'm excited for you to join us, and I'm excited for you to be on this journey with us. We'll see you then.